to Healing Spirits Herbal Farm and Education Center here in the beautiful Finger Lakes of Western New York. And I'm Matthias.
And I'm Andrea.
We've been on this farm since 1982, and we started out as dairy farmers here and worked the land as farmers till 1989. We transitioned into herb growing because we wanted to stay with the land.
That sounds so nice.
One day this flyer somehow came across our desk or through the mail, and it was a flyer about a 4-day sweat lodge up in Vermont by these two people by the name of Rosemary Gladstar and Carl Slick. And I think that was a really transitioning time.
Yeah, and Rosemary was very excited to hear that you wanted to grow herbs, because nobody wants to grow herbs. You know, they don't. And she helped us get started. She gave us a list of names of people to contact. None of them worked out, so we just decided to go ahead and grow them anyway. And all these years later, it's still working.
Yeah, so that was in 1991, and that's what we've been doing ever since. It's just growing medicinal herbs, and I think we could say we've kind of expanded that also. I mean, we've expanded it into working, doing different body therapies, and we also now manufacture. Andrea likes to create products. Many products. I think that's the thing in business. You always have to, even in farming, you have to ask yourself, you know, what is your end goal? What is your real focus? What's your priority? What do you really want to be doing? And Andrea likes to formulate. She likes and she has a different communication with the herbs than I do. So.
And it used to be, before things got out of hand, that both of us spent most of our time in the field harvesting, and then we just did making the teas and all the different products on the side. But now Matt tries to keep up with everything that I'm creating. I'm putting a lot of pressure on that end.
The production end has to, you know, continue to grow as you manufacture more products. So that's where we're at right now. I mean, and that's, you know, what, 22 years later.
We go out and teach. We teach here, and lately the interns that we've had have been coming from colleges.
And I think that's the other thing. You know, we do go to conferences and you teach about the business of herbs and growing and farming, and we actually looked at what we were doing. And it was like 7 businesses that we were.
Yeah, that was a real eye-opener.
You know,
yeah. Teach a class on what you're doing to find out what you're really doing.
Yeah, so we were actually involved. You know, there's body work, there's growing herbs, there's manufacturing, there's teaching. You know, and so, you know, where you stretch yourself thin. So basically, the other thing I think, you know, we teach a lot about. We go to a lot of agricultural conferences, which are different from herbal conferences, and we try and encourage young farmers to look at, you know, the potentials that they have, or any farmer for that matter, the potential they have on their farm, looking at diversifying their farm, you know, instead of killing the weeds, maybe learn them and what you can do with them, and the added benefit, you know, like CSAs. Why don't they have a food packet? Why don't you have a medicinal packet for your clients that are coming to your CSAs? So there's all those things, and that's we kind of like to really do that a lot, and just get help farmers maybe rethink the program of farming and how they might do it.
Can we get a quick tour around?
Yeah, sure. Let's.
Do you want to go inside?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
Like when they're making medicine, like, you know.
I think one of the biggest things when we first started out was the drying aspects of how you were going to dry in the northeast climate of, you know, higher humidity possibly, and the amount of rain that we received. And so I just, from the aspect of dairy farming, thought about, you know, when you got the best quality alfalfa hay, and that was when you had really high, a lot of sunshine and low humidity. And so I looked at duplicating that and looked at drying in the greenhouse. But that, you know, technology changes, and we need to change our thought patterns as how do we dry.
So if you were in Arizona, this may not work, but for the Finger Lakes region, it works very well.
For most of the year, you don't have to worry about it. You know, like even now, just a little while ago, it was up to 110 in here. And so we developed a system of drying in the greenhouse, and a lot of people have mimicked it.
And we're careful what we put on which shelf, because you have the dry herbs and the wetter herbs. And like the nettles is what we consider a dry herb, and they can take a lot more heat. They like the heat, and these will be dry within 24 hours.
If you're going to look at growing herbs, the limiting factor in your production scale is your drying facility. You can grow your bulk amount of herbs, and what usually limits you is the amount of drying space. Once they're dry, then we process them here partly, and then finish processing, take them inside and finish processing. I think one of the other things as a farmer, you have to look at what programs are available to you through the government. And we got a SARE grant to look at high density production of medicinal herbs, to look at how much density can one piece of ground, and what herbs will adapt to high density production. And one of the other things we made ourselves available to us was the solar panels in the background. That's a 10 kilowatt system, and it's been almost 2 years now that's up. It was calculated at supplying 70% of our energy needs for the farm. So we're still evaluating that.
We're planning on 100.
Yeah. I think one of the other things, we farm, and we have certain areas where we do cultivation, but we also wildcraft the farm. So that, you know, there's a lot of areas where you look and you see there's just a whole mess of weeds. And basically those weeds are a lot of different medicinal plants, and so we go in and wildcraft on the farm.